Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of HWR's Hardcore Wrestling Radio. Boy, Lance, I was about to say Scoldren's Realm, so I'm not used to hosting this, but we are here. We are live. Rick Head is not going to be available this week, so he asked me to host with Lance, and we have two special guests tonight. First of all, she is from TKWA Trend Killers Wrestling Association. She is one of the hags from the hag division. She is the lovely but dangerous Spicy Wifey. Welcome, Spicy.
Thank you for having me. Hello, hello.
There you go. And of course, when he comes back, we will have Steve, very good friend of ours, on the show. He's been here a couple of times, a man of different voices and different talents. He will be live here. But let me introduce my co-host, my partner in crime on here. He is the sane one, I think. Maybe I don't know. From HWR, he is the incomparable one, Lance Moss. Lance, how you doing?
Me saying, do you even know me, Joe? But
Hey, you're more
anyway,
saner than me.
wait a minute. Joe, you said boss ain't here,
Yes,
which means we don't have parental supervision.
exactly. Lord knows we're gonna get kicked off. So, uh, so yes, everybody. So we're live here, HWR. We got a bunch of news. Some different things are going on in professional wrestling right now. We're going to be talking about that. We also going to send our uh, our prayers to BC Games and More. BC and Mrs. A. You could check them out every weekend. 9:30 p.m. They play retro games and they talk about different items that they have available for sale. You could check them out. BC right now he has COVID. He is recovering from that.
Ooh,
I talked to him. He was doing great. He's doing a little better. He lost about 35 pounds, Lance.
well, there's always a bright side.
Yeah, at least he got to eat turkey and got to lose it as well. So
Gobble, 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 gobble.
So, but he's doing fine, and they will be doing BC games and more next week, hopefully. And again, you can check them out on Facebook. Just do the hashtag BC games and more. All right, and this Friday, if it doesn't get postponed to the following week, it is TKWA's Metal Fury special show. You will see a bunch of the TKWA wrestlers. This is a promo-based company, wrestling fantasy wrestling company, where we design your character in a WWE 2K20 match, and the talent does the promos. Whoever's promo is better wins, and that's how it goes. Then the match is simulated, and we commentate live on it for everybody to watch. And which the lovely Spicy here is one of the. I think she's the number one contender to the Hag division with my champion, Miss Pixie. So we're gonna go on here. We're gonna start off first of all, Lance. WWE releases. Now I know we've talked about this on many other shows about the releases, but I think we've got like really, it's incredible who they have released. The full list, everybody, up to now: Ashante Adonis, Top Dollar, Drake Maverick, John Morrison. We're going to talk about him in a few. Tegan Knox, Jackson Riker, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Shane Thorne, Karrion Cross, Keith Lee, which was a surprise because this guy's multi-talented. Karrion Cross is another guy who's multi-talented. Lance, the Mrs. Botch herself, Nia Jax is gone. Uh, the one person we all was praying for to get released, she finally did. It was Eva Marie. She was here for a cup of coffee. You have Amber Moon, Maya Yim, who is in a relationship with Keith Lee. Harry Smith, the son of the British Bulldog Davy Boy Smith. Lince Dorado, Graham Metalik, Jeet Rama, Christina Cortez, Trey Baxter, Zadia Ramir, Jesse Camira, B Fab, Oni Lacan. I don't know.
La cucaracha, la
Yeah, that's
cucaracha.
what I'm gonna say because I can't freaking pronounce it. Frankie Manette and Scarlett Bordeaux.
But
So
and I got one other addition to that list.
okay,
Scotty Too Hottie asked to be released from his job working in developmental.
wow. Well, then who's there to teach anybody anything? Because they're mostly everybody's gonna be gone. Biggest
And
shot,
how are they going to know how to do the worm?
exactly. Biggest thing out of all this is Lance. We've known about the cuts for some time. We've talked about it on the show a couple of times. We have it's pretty much a crazy thing when WWE constantly releases the talent and not shitty talent. You know, carrying Cross, Keith Lee, Amber Moon, um, just those folks alone. Why would you release them? And this builds up again. Why keep the same people that we constantly see every single day on Monday and Fridays, which is Roman Reigns? I know Roman Reigns, he's going to be there for life, but you know you're going to see only him and whoever is left on the roster. You're going to see repeat matches. Lance, tell me, what do you think about all these releases?
Well, I mean, normally we do see WWE do spring cleaning after WrestleMania. But some of these, like, okay, to be as an example, one that actually shocked me because they just got called up to the main roster from NXT. Hit Row, which is like 4 people. First, they got rid of the girl, then they got rid of the other 3 guys like a week later. And it was the girl they got released in the first round of cuts. Then the rest of them, was like, the hell are you doing? You just brought them up. And Morrison, seriously,
You know,
this company,
go ahead, Lance, continue.
I could have seen John Morrison with a run with the belt. But
Yeah.
they made him the Miz's stupid sidekick.
Well,
The fuck are you doing?
well, let's face it. Miz and Morrison were a popular tag team, and they did hold tag gold. But his release is all sudden. It's all of a sudden now. The John Morrison, you know, real name is John Hennigan. He did go on Instagram where he posted a video. You can find that on HWR chat room. And he basically is grateful for everything that they gave him. You know, he didn't even get a best of luck in future development. They just say, "Here, bye, we'll let you go." So
You
he was
know,
surprised. He actually did a video that was very. I think he was teary eyed on that.
I do wonder if they sent anybody their shit in trash bags.
Yeah, Bree, if you don't know what's going on with that, WWE has a habit, or at least one of their people backstage. Anytime a talent gets released, they pretty much get everything that's left in their locker. They'll throw in a black trash plastic bag and literally either mail it to them or hand it to them. If I'm correct, right, Lance?
Well, most of the time they don't just throw it in a trash bag. It's usually boxed up and sent to you. But I believe it was Mickey James that they just put her shit in the trash bag and sent it to her, which that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, you got money. You have money. You can afford more than a trash bag. All right. Like, I can't.
I mean, hell, go to Home Depot and get one of them shipping boxes. It's like a
Right.
buck.
Give me a box. Give me a tote. I don't even care. Like a trash bag? That's like you're telling me I'm trash and now you're giving me a literal trash bag. I can't take it. No, thank you.
Yeah, and again, Lance, that's why WWE is in the state. They also right now are having trouble selling tickets. this is a part also about the news. They are having trouble selling tickets to shows. They are now doing two for one deals, 3 for 1 deals, just to get people to buy tickets. And I know we've joked about it. We've seen some of their shows. We saw Survivor Series, where the people out there look more animated than than real life people. And the bad thing is, Lance, a week before that, we got to see AEW's Full Gear. So we were hoping WWE was going to go full tilt and say, okay, they got to do something to be better than AEW. And what we got was, what is it, a 2-star show after we watched
And,
a complete 5-star show.
and that's being very kind because, well, we thought they might pull something out, but since I fell asleep during the end of the women's traditional tag and woke up about 10, 15 minutes into the Roman Reigns Big E match, I'd say they failed.
Yeah, there was a lot of botches in that show. So,
Like the entire show.
by the way, over in our chat right now, we got Nelly B from TKWA. How you doing, Nelly? Good to see you, buddy. We have also the boss of TKWA, Trend Killer himself. He said, "Is that spicy?" That's your cue, spicy.
Oh, I responded to him. Sorry. I was like, hello. I was actually responding to him. But yes, it's me. Spicy.
It's her. It's her. It's not DDP. Yeah, he's saying about the Pizza Hut Battle Royal was legendary. I think the only thing was legendary out of them, they actually decided to throw pizza to the audience because they were feeding the hungry at that time. Um, it the show wasn't great. The show was really how can I put it? It wasn't great. The 5-on-5 men's Survivor Series, which I'm a big fan of the original Survivor Series. So uh, it, Kevin Owens walking out. I think what was it, Lance? Seth Rollins did the same thing the last Survivor Series. So I think Kevin Owens was just getting him for that, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, yeah, because when he was on Team SmackDown, he did the same damn thing.
That's one of the things. Is Steve back yet?
I don't believe
no.
so.
All right. Well, Nelly says, "What's goody, Chris? What's going on?" Scoldy and Spicy says, "Just hanging out, trying to survive this cold winter. We're not even winter yet, and we're having winter storms here." Tyler Arvel, hey Tyler, how you doing? Tyler works with me. He's a great guy. Thank you for joining the stream today. We're talking about professional wrestling. We're talking about AEW, WWE, TKWA, everything under the sun. So we will be bringing up a couple of things. Chris says he really enjoyed the first match between Charlotte and Becky, even though we've seen it to death.
Lady in Red.
Since you brought that up, let's go to you. I know we talked about this on the post show. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't a great match. I think it was their match was at least better than the women's match in AEW's Full Gear between Britt Baker and whatever the girl's name was.
Yeah, Tay Conti.
There you go.
Honestly, that entire time I was just perving out over Becky Lynch in that red outfit.
Yeah, Becky's now in the title of MILF. So MILF. Shush.
Did somebody call me?
No. See, I was saying shush, Lance. You know, I again, Spicy. I know. Chris says that red outfit was hot.
Yeah.
Maybe we could persuade Spicy to get in the red outfit.
Okay, you got me as Velma. You got me as a nurse. You got me as a witch. You guys put me in all kinds of outfits. Okay, I'll pretty much do whatever at this point.
There you go. I love that girl, and she is the cover of Playhag magazine. So no nudes, just dudes reading drooling over her. Um, but yeah, right now the Survival Series match was pay per view was a little bit dry. It wasn't that great.
The
So
Sahara is a little bit dry.
yeah,
This,
so we're gonna go into the rumors of the day, guys. Rumors right now. Dave Meltzer, who we know, really kind of exaggerates every now and then. Um, said on Sunday night's main event podcast that Triple H's September cardiac event was very, very serious. While he's been around the business in recent weeks, Meltzer isn't sure when he'll be fully back on the job and speculates he could come back to a less stressful position. Um, Lance, you know me, I'm not a big fan of Triple H. Um, he married his way into power, but when it comes to I think it was a mild heart attack or his heart skipped. It was very serious, and his position in WWE, he was head of NXT. He was running that, and it was doing really well as the Gold and Black brand. And I think ever since he's got this cardiac, I don't know why they call it an event. It's not like you're gonna sell tickets to see the man have a heart attack. It's a cardiac, incident. But
yeah.
he did have that heart attack, and he was out in the hospital. So, and then next thing you know, Lance, NXT becomes the Rainbow brand.
Who's to say it didn't happen when a certain father-in-law told him, like, you're taking away my baby? No.
Yeah, for you guys that are new to watch and listen on to this, NXT was the third brand of WWE. They were basically their independent promotion. They trained the talent. The talent
Yeah.
went from the performance center to NXT, where they will learn to work in front of a crowd and then graduate up to the main roster. Well, that brand became pretty much the best brand out of the other brands, Raw and SmackDown. What we saw when Triple H got that heart attack was it all just went crazy and switched up, and now it's like multicolored banner. I think it's like more PG setting now.
It looks like a gym, like
Ye-
a high school basketball gym.
right. And the thing is, it's really, really not the same brand as it used to be. So I think Vince and Bruce Pritchard, because Bruce Pritchard also is now in charge. He's the executive, I think, producer now. He's in charge of Raw, SmackDown, and now NXT. And I believe his idea with Vince came down to rebrand everything because NXT lost the ratings war. We did have a brief Wednesday night war between NXT and AEW, and AEW kind of passed NXT at some points. It reminded me a little bit of the pretty much the old Monday Night Wars. Chris wants us to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling versus Noah pay per view is coming up, and we will look into that shortly. Let's go while we're still on the rumor mills. Lance, the Red Notice movie tie-in, the Egg storyline from Survivor Series was and last week's Raw was originally much worse, according to Fightful selected WWE sources. The stakes were even lower than what we got with one of the pitching involving the 24/7 title. This was shot down by none other by The Rock himself, Dwayne Johnson, and other movie representatives. Now, for folks, if you don't know what Red Notice is, it's kind of like an Indiana Jones, James Bond type movie. It's on Netflix. It stars obviously The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, who's Deadpool in most movies, and Gail Goddard, who is a cutie and she is Wonder Woman. What's funny, Lance, is here are three superheroes in a movie, and if you look at it, they're more DC because The Rock played Shazam, or played Black Adam. Yeah, Gail Goddard, who's Wonder Woman, and for his first chance in a movie, in a superhero movie, Ryan Reynolds was Green Lantern.
Yeah, but Ryan Reynolds took care of that at the end of Deadpool 2.
So, um, Spicy, let's go to you. Have you heard about the movie Red Notice?
I have. So I haven't watched it, but I do know that as far as like views, it has almost more views. Like it's almost the number one viewed Netflix movie of like ever. Like as far as hours are concerned. So you have number one is Bird Box with 282 million hours viewed, and then this movie with 277. So it's gonna beat it, and I mean that just means they'll do more like this because people want it. I don't know if that has anything to do with, I mean, no content being released because of COVID, etc. But probably the 2 stars more than anything. But yeah, it's doing well. I know that.
Right, and that's the thing. They WWE knows that they're struggling to pretty much try to keep some sort of ratings going. So they're trying to incorporate everything. They used to do that a lot in the 90s with the old Hulk Hogan movies, No Holds Barred, and Mr. Nanny, and a couple other movies that WWE produced. So they're trying to boost up their numbers, Lance, and it doesn't seem to be working well. So that in itself, um, the movie part, I think it's actually better than the WWE product.
Yeah, I mean, when you got two or three powerhouses like The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, those are three big names. You can get a lot of well, in movie terms, a lot of asses in seats. That'd be like, I don't know, a show having The Rock, Austin, and I don't know, Macho Man on it at the same time in a wrestling event.
Right.
It'd probably draw the same amount of it would be the equivalent. But hot damn, WWE needs work.
Yeah, and continuing talk about The Rock, season 2 of Young Rock. This is a show based on basically The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's wrestling career, and it's kind of a nice little thing. There's been shows like this before. There's been that Lyle Izato's show back in the 80s, where I forgot even the name of it. I think it was like Off the Ropes or something like that, where where Kyle was a wrestler at night and a teacher during the day. So this is similar, but season 2 will cover Dwayne Johnson's run in the Memphis area, Lance, and his first year in the then WWF. The NBC sitcom is casting actors to portray Bill Dundee, Jerry the King Lawler, Tommy Rich, a young Bam Bam Bigelow, a young Triple H, Undertaker, Harvey Whippleman, and Steve Lombardi, the Brooklyn Brawler. Bree, I don't know if you watched the Young Rock series. It is it is entertaining, and they actually do show stuff how wrestling was different back in the day compared to today.
So does it show his childhood at all? Because I remember being like younger and reading his book and being like, oh, this is the tea. And just there were like some spicy parts and I felt so cool because I was reading The Rock's book. So I'm like, do I know some of this already? I might.
Yeah,
I don't know what time periods they cover.
this covers, I believe, Lance, correct me. When did he debut in WWE? Like 94.
20 years ago.
20 years ago. Well, there you go, folks. So think
You
of
didn't get that beat into your head last Sunday? I don't know, 25 years ago.
yeah, it was. I put it like this: WWE it was so bad with that they kept beating everything into our heads about that, and I just totally forgot about it. See how my attention span is. But
Which,
19,
if you actually want to see The Rock's first match, go on YouTube after we finish up, mind you. But go on YouTube, type in Brian Christopher and Flex Kavana versus Bill Dundee and Jerry the King Lawler. That will be his first professional wrestling match.
absolutely.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, there he is. He's Steve. Steve, welcome to the podcast. I want you to meet Spicy Wifey. She is from the wrestling promotion TKWA.
Hi,
Hello.
Spicy. Hi, Spicy YC. I'm Stevie Weeby.
And then Lancey I can't
That's
even figure
Nancy
out that
Rants.
freaking name.
I heard you bring up the La La Zato television series. It was called Learning the Ropes.
Learning the ropes. Thank you, sir. Steve is our historian. He's our Mike Tenay of wrestling.
And a little bit of trivia. When they did the wrestling scenes where he was the masked maniac, because he wore a mask to hide the fact that he was a substitute teacher during the day, the masked maniac was actually Dr. Death Steve Williams.
There you go. And I do remember that. You know what? Let Steve go ahead with that. Explain to everybody what was the show's premise and the time period of the show.
Okay, the show, if I recall correctly, ran in the late 80s, 88, 89, somewhere in there. It lasted less than a season. It was filmed on location in Toronto. It was a Canadian television production, CTV. And it was syndicated here in the States. I think it ran for maybe a full season, 26 episodes, maybe less. And the premise of it was that a single father was trying to make ends meet and wasn't quite making ends meet as a teacher. So he took up a second job as a professional wrestler, which he had to keep secret from the people at the school board, and that he kind of halfway kept secret from the kids. And it was played by NFL star and actor Lyle Alzado, whose most famous role is actually the construction foreman in Ernest Goes to Camp.
Jeez. Now was this show? Did it have the NWA stars or WWF stars? I could not remember.
Yes, it had NWA guys. You had Sting, Lex Luger, Ric Flair, Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, Ron Simmons, Dick Murdoch. I mean, all these guys made appearances on the show as themselves.
Okay, so Young Rock basically follows the career. It started out when The Rock was a kid, a small kid, like maybe 7 or 8, listening in on his father, his grandfather's conversation with wrestlers about the business. So you kind of see where it's going. It basically describes his. It's like a little comedy slash documentary where it talks about his life growing up. Now season 2 is going to be the actual when he comes out of training, goes into the Memphis territory, then travels to the WWF at the time. So
Well, I saw a scene from that series where he basically, Little Rock as a child said, Little Dwayne. That makes him sound like a rapper, though.
Yeah.
Okay. But little Dwayne Johnson, little soon to be Flex Cabana,
Dewey.
was sitting there complaining about why everybody was upset about this and that and the other because, wrestling's fake. The actor who played Andre the Giant, Andre stood up, went over to Little Rock and picked him up and held him up in the air and basically gently explained to him that wrestling's not fake. Because that's back when that was a big no-no.
yeah, I got into wrestling at the tail end of it as a manager, and it was still that strong kayfabe. You did not say that word, even if the boys knew it and the girls knew it backstage. You still that was a big no to do that. So
Right.
another thing, via the Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer also reported that Rhodes to the Top. This is a Cody Rhodes TV show has been renewed for a second season on TNT, and that basically describes like the backstage workings of professional wrestling in AEW. So what you're gonna see with Rhodes to the Top is all about Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and everybody who works in AEW. They talk about what's going on behind the scenes, and it's actually a lot different. Compared,
Actually, Joe, the Bucks and Omega avoid those cameras like the damn plague.
yeah, but they should put on Be the Elite on YouTube, so they really kind of bust that bubble.
Yeah.
So they, I think that's in itself, it's another show that they're capitalizing on professional wrestling, which is good for AEW. I haven't personally seen it, but I know the premise behind it. Spicy, have you seen it?
No, it's a reality show, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I have not seen it. I've heard of it though, but I mean, I don't know. We've seen so many wrestling reality shows. I'm like, what's different? I mean, I guess besides like the peek behind the curtain, but I guess we've gotten that too. So I don't know what really sets it apart. I'd be interested to see.
All right, let's go to you, Steve. What do you think about Road to the Top?
I have not seen it.
Okay, Lance.
It's better than Total Bellas.
Anything's better than Total Bellas. Thank God they're not around. Real quick to answer Chris's thing about New Japan Pro Wrestling versus Noah. It is a big what's called is they calling a worldwide pay per views on January 8th. It is if you want the English version, you got to go to Abema ABEMA dash PPV dash online live dot ABEMA.tv backslash post backslash 238 21904 90210.
8675309.
Yeah, might as well. I will post this in the HWR chat room. It is basically New Japan Pro Wrestling making it's trying to keep itself relevant, and they'll be taking on Pro Wrestling Noah. And both companies have. I'm not so familiar with New Japan of today, but it's going to have a lot of great talent from I remember. But we'll see what happens with that, and we'll keep everybody updated on that. And this is the point right now where we open up the floor to discuss other things in professional wrestling. Chris has a question for the guys and girl in here in the chat room. Why is Cody Rhodes hated so much? Let's go to you, Lance.
Well, I'll put it like the fans want him to turn heel so damn badly, and this I'm not gonna turn heel because you want me to bullshit. It's actually kind of him doing what the fans want. Because what does a heel do? But if not, piss off the fans.
Exactly. Steve, let's go to you. Should Cody Rhodes at this time? The fans have I think they've taken to him when he first started coming back to the ring for AEW. He was a beloved character. He was a Rhodes. We saw from Full Gear. He's hated right now with the fans. He threw out his customary belt, and the fans hated him so much that they threw it right back at him. So, which we didn't believe until we saw it live. But should Cody Rhodes turn heel?
I think Cody Rhodes turning heel would be a good direction, story-wise. I also think it has more potential to make more money, since he already has a heel's heat as it is. Capitalizing on that would probably be the smarter business move. But whether or not Cody actually does that, because Cody seems to just do what Cody does, and it seems a little independent from whatever direction AEW is going in general. So I think that Cody turning heel would be the better business move.
Well,
because you'd be giving the fans You'd be giving the fans in ring and storylines that they want to see.
And that's a good point. And knowing that his manager, in a sense, is Arn Anderson, and they did do a little in-ring thing between him and Tully Blanchard that ended up them two doing, like you could say, a tag move against the Lucha Bros manager, well, Alejandro. I can't even pronounce that right. But when you see what, how interesting would it be if a Rhodes joined like the Four Horsemen type scenario, which both guys take him under his wing and they kind of grill him in the ways of the Horsemen, and that's what turns him heel. Let's go to you, Spicy. What do you think about Cody Rhodes and him possibly turning heel?
I don't have too much input on this. I don't know if people are put off by the neck tattoo or what it is.
That's part of it.
That's part of it.
All right.
But I don't know. I don't think you can force people into liking you. Like, and I think like it's so like it feels so forced, and he just thinks like he has his attitude that he can just charm his way back into their hearts. And I'm just like, no, like you just can't. So I think just him having that like air about him that he thinks like, don't worry, like I'll get you to love me again. Then they're like, no, stop trying to force yourself on us and just do what's gonna be best for your career. But I don't know. I don't have too much input, but that's how I feel about it.
Does he kind of remind anybody? Does he kind of remind anybody else of a certain John Boy?
Yes, like John Cena has always been the proverbial good guy. The fans got to the point that if they can kill him, they will. They want to see him turn heel, and John. It's going to be like Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat, for much of his career, was a baby face. He was almost never a heel until his early days. But when he was a baby face, he went long with that. If I'm right, Steve.
Yes, I don't think he ever had a heel run. To be honest with you, not that I can think of.
His wife did.
Yeah, but
Backstage.
that's different. Ricky Steamboat's wrestling style and his overall persona does not lend to being a heel. So it would take somebody who had more of an adaptive style to do heel tactics, which is not something that Steamboat excelled at. So it wouldn't have been believable back then. Back when believability was a key element to both your storylines and the success of your performers.
All right. We're going to talk a little bit about promos as well. Promos is one of the big things in professional wrestling. You have to know how to talk to captivate the audience. And that's one of the things that are missing right now in WWE. They have maybe one or two good talkers, but everybody else is kind of dead in the water. Spicy, you are in TKWA. It's a promo-based fantasy wrestling company. Tell us the thing about promos on your end, from your experience.
Well, I made my first promo not too long ago. I've only made about 4 or 5 going into it with zero knowledge, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this. But I think the biggest thing is just to be creative. Like if you're just gonna, look into the camera and just talk shit, like it gets old after a while. And you want to keep people entertained. And I try to do my promos more on the comedy side. Just because I don't know, like I just sitting in front of the camera and telling someone I'm gonna beat their ass like is fine, but like I don't know, I just like to put a little more creativity into mine. I feel like it works better for a show.
Absolutely, and being in TKWA myself as the evil GM, um, I'm really a nice guy. I don't know why I sounded like Biago the parrot, but promos promos are a big thing. And talking about promos, MJF and CM Punk's promo on Wednesday's Dynamite last week was so incredible and captivating. It did everything. If you don't know how to shoot a promo, watch that segment. And not only did they go on against each other, like little snides at each other, they took swipes at the WWE with John Cena and all that. So that's kind of unique, and we've never seen really to this day and age, uh, any company do that. And you see in AEW, they did it that one time. And MJF himself, Lance, is an incredible talker. When you put him in there with CM Punk, who's another incredible talker, you got the promo that we saw. Let's go on that. What do you think about that promo segment?
Well, for one, when I first heard, I laughed my ass off because those two guys are just gold both ways, or both of them are gold. And well, like you said, you can't lose with that one because MJF's going to get better, and so is Punk because, well, let's face it, steel sharpens steel.
Absolutely. Steve, I'm not sure if you saw that segment, but it was
I did.
okay. Great. So, what's your opinion from watching that segment?
I think that one of MJ's main strengths was his ability to cut a promo, and that, harkening back to the older styles of wrestling, cutting a promo was how you got the asses in the seats. You had to convince people that were watching your television or people that were listening to your interviews, however they were getting them, usually through a television product, to, you come see me and at this venue and this match, and this is why. And they would captivate you. They would draw you in. And the promo between MJ and CM Punk had all those qualities. It had just enough reality to make it real and palpable, and it had just enough fun and wit to it to make it interesting to watch. You didn't feel like you were being walked through bullet points on a script. You felt like two people were genuinely talking to each other and talking the primest of shit to get their point across. And that's when promos are at their best. Now, I come from an older appreciation of an older generation of wrestling when that was a key component to your promotion, was someone being able to cut a promo. That's why Cody's father, Dusty, was one of the masters. Ric Flair was a master. Macho Man Randy Savage was unique and always interesting to watch. And his matches were usually pretty good too.
I gotta say, the one promo guy who doesn't get he gets some credit, but he doesn't get full credit is Jake the Snake Roberts, because he didn't scream, he didn't go into a tirade.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He would draw you in with the tone of voice, with how quiet and menacing he was.
Absolutely. There you go for you, Chris. The word absolutely, because I say that a lot on TKWA live shows.
Yeah, but you don't have Rocky Balboa's record yet, so
Yeah, that's thank God for that.
Absolutely.
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 Plus, you get all the syllables of the word in, so.
One of the things, and I'm gonna go now to TKWA really quick, and I'm gonna throw this as Spicy. Spicy, you're in a fantasy wrestling promotion. Now, I came from a real wrestling promotions, and back in my day, the promos were the pretty much the director, the producer, or the promoter himself will tell you, okay, this is who your team's opponent's going to be. This is where your show's going to be. Go out there, sell me some tickets, and they throw you in front of a camera, and you have maybe 30 seconds to come up with an intricate promo. And you in TKWA, where everything is promo based, you have to look at everybody else's promo, or you got to assume everybody's promo is good, and then you got to develop your own. Let's walk me through your promo. How do you get ready for something like that, and what are your thoughts behind it?
I mean, obviously, like with this, there's way more time to prepare. I can, have costume changes. I can do edits. There's a lot more flexibility. But for me, like when I'm done with a promo, I send it to you, I watch Nightmare, and then as soon as that's going on, I already have an idea for my next promo. Like, I have ideas in my notes for like 3 or 4 promos, like down the line, because I'll think of an idea and I'm like, I'm gonna write this down or I'm gonna forget it. So it's just like I'm like just always jot my ideas down, and I spend literally 4 to 5 hours just doing the promo, doing the editing, and do everything in one shot, and just get it done. But it's super super fun, to be honest.
Yeah, and the promos that are done in both AEW and WWE. You know, WWE is more scripted. They'll give you a script, and you have to try to remember the whole entire page. You know, you drone out trying to repeat exactly what they say, while AEW does more real. They let you go. It's a shoot promo. Go with it. One of the things, folks, in TKWA, it is that same way. You know, we give you who your opponent's going to be, when it's going to be, what show is it going to be, and you run with it. So, you know, if you're a fan of professional wrestling and you're looking to try to get into something like that, and not only that, it helps build up your character. Some people can take what they learn in shooting a promo, even in real life in professional wrestling. You could take that and go to a job interview. Now you don't not gonna go into a job and say rest in peace, or you better give me the job, brother. You know, you're gonna go in there with more confidence, and you're gonna go straight, look at the person directly. I think that's what builds a positive promo, and that's what builds characters. Like you, Steve, I watched the product since the early '80s, and
Mhm.
the the promos were so much the intricate thing to lure you in. Even if the talent was wrestling a jobber, it is.
Mhm.
I think just the promo alone, you forget Ace fighting the jobber.
Mhm. Absolutely.
There you go. There's your second absolutely, Chris. Um,
Mhm.
we got to get Lance to say absolutely.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Um,
Absolutely.
with also with AEW going against WWE, you're seeing. I sat down and had a conversation with someone who said what you're seeing out of AEW is not new. It's just something that WWE used to do good, and now they don't do it. I hearken it back to the WCW Nitro days versus WWF days before the Attitude Era. Basically, Eric Bischoff did the same thing. Took the great ideas that WWE did, incorporated it his way, and turned it into basically a top-rated show until they came crashing on their own. Um, Steve, again, you came from that wrestling background as well. You watched wrestling from the day. Can you do
Mhm.
the same comparisons of WCW and WWF with AEW and WWE, or do you have a difference? Do you see something different?
Well, the thing is like the key to the success of AEW's promos to a point, because there's some massive flaming dumpster fires that get shown on the show from time to time. But when you got people that can work the mic well, it does harken back quite a bit to the former era when you were selling not just the promotion, not just the match, not just the event, but selling yourself as a performer, and also selling your opponent, which is a key thing that a lot of modern sports entertainment doesn't do, because they're worried more about their scripts and their story points than they are about putting everything over. And I think AEW focuses on that a great deal, like the classic wrestling promotions, and maybe even a little bit of the territories in there,
Well,
because they've got a lot of guys that worked in the territories and remember how to do that, and they've got a newer generation that has that skill set. They were developing that skill set, whereas WWE does not. Their training does not train you to do this, to go out there and sell yourself, sell your opponent, and sell your match and sell your event, you know, in that order.
Yeah, you
Whereas,
get one thing or the other out of WWE.
yeah, WWE is like, okay, we are pushing the story of so and so is fighting such and such, and here's a lot of backstage drama that we want you to go do because we're actually kind of gearing you up to be in the next incarnation of the Marine, and you're not even a wrestler at this point. Whereas at AEW, it is you have this old guard that used to make their living in the territory days, and whether or not they paid their bills and fed their kids, depending on whether or not they could sell themselves, sell their opponents, and sell their match. So that skill set is being passed on to another generation over there, I think,
Yep,
which is
and
why that's why they have superior product.
exactly. Lance, what do you think about this?
Like Steve said, I personally see it as not so much WCW versus WWF right before the Attitude Era. I see a lot of similarities between the NWA era and the WWF. I mean, let's face it, Vince did bring in an egg. Granted, this one, the one from Survivor Series, was gold and there wasn't the gobbledygooker inside.
you
But,
always go for a chance to bring up the gobbledygooker.
well, I mean, come on. But
And to counter that, Shockmaster.
he
Oh,
fucking
geez.
fell.
Nobody. You know, the segment between the golden egg football, the whole thing, even though it's part of the movie with The Rock and all that, I can understand that, but I think it has a place and time for it, and I think they were just trying to sell the movie, which any smart producer wants to have their movie sold, any director. Um, so I think in all aspects, that's what they were trying to do.
Well, if I can interject this for Survivor Series seemed like one big surprise birthday party for The Rock, and he didn't show up. And part of that was promoting his movie. This was all about The Rock and his anniversary. And here's a prop from the movie that he's in, and Rock doesn't show up. So it's all just kind of absenteeism.
Anybody else feel kind of stood up on Survivor Series a little bit because they were hyping him up so much and he no showed.
You know what I did when I was expecting him to show up at the end, or even a video prompt on the Titantron, like Roman, you are not the head of the table. You're not even my level. It would have made. I think that in itself would have made the pay per view worth watching. Just at that end, it's like you build up, you keep repeating, you keep droning this mindless thing over and over throughout the pay per view. You're promoting the movie, and yet the guy who was your main guide, who is now the star of this movie, you couldn't get like a recording or anything out of it. You just got a damn golden football or egg or whatever. It kind of, I think that in itself was the worst. That was the biggest lost opportunity they can never get again. And then you had another opportunity to do it again on Monday, and you basically got I don't know, what WrestleMania was it that they had what is his name, Leslie Nielsen, run around as a detective trying to find uh, somebody. I forgot, the Undertaker. He was trying to find the Undertaker for SummerSlam, and they hired a bumbling detective to go look for the Undertaker. Those were the
See,
two.
all that kind of blurs together because I remember when RoboCop showed up in a cage at some point in another in
In
another
a
wrestling event.
WCW, yes. I was hoping you didn't say that. Drop it. Um, but the thing is, they had an opportunity, it didn't work, and now I think they just dropped the whole scenario, like they do. And you made a point before, Steve. AEW has the veterans. They have Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson. They had Dean Malenko. They had Jerry Lynn. They have so many talented guys who've been in the field, who've been in the territories, who've been in the Attitude Era. And they could see the world differently from what WWE has. WWE has a bunch of writers, television writers. They write shows like Friends. So many other TV shows, and yet they don't have no knowledge of professional wrestling. So that's what you see the big difference. All right, guys, we're gonna go. We're gonna go off in a few minutes, but we're gonna do. I am gonna talk a little bit about TKWA because it is this Friday's Metal Fury show. Uh, Spicy is not on this show, but we will be seeing her promo at Nightmare 19. And again, real quick, Spicy, you are in the Hags division. That's the equivalent of the women's division. You're my little assistant. You could say compatriot Pixie. She's the Hag division's champion. I'm gonna let you go when it comes to this. When it comes to the Hag division, go ahead.
What are you asking me specifically?
Specifically, what do you think about the Hag division, and tell everybody about your experience in TKWA.
I think we need more female talent, 100%. But I think that it's me and Pixie. Maria and Natasha are Winter Witch. I don't know. I see Pixie as my only blockade. To be fair, not even to be fair. Fuck those bitches. Pixie is my only roadblock to being the Hag Division champion.
There you go.
And that'll be taken care of shortly as well. And the only reason I didn't get it from her was because she decided to sing a song in her promo, and I can't sing, but I could throw hands, but it's fine. She's gonna sing, whatever. And also, she's your favorite, and it's bullshit. I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say what everyone's thinking, that you have a favorite. It's fine.
I don't.
That's fine.
As
That's
GM
fine.
of TKWA, I have no favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I occasionally get my palm greased by DHG, but that's a different story. So
that's felony and possibly a website.
So with that, everybody, we're gonna call it right here. Thanks for being part of it.
Wait, Scully.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Okay, who's the wrestling historian? Who did you say was it, Steve?
Steve is the wrestling historian. He's the Mike today of the group.
I need to know if you remember when Tiger Ali brought the Kabasa Queen on stage during WWF to swallow the Kabasa. Do you recall this moment?
I do.
That woman is my mother. I thought maybe that interesting fact would be.
Okay.
I'm like, I need to know if he remembers this.
Well, and another little interesting wrestling related tidbit, I was actually a professional wrestler and manager very, very briefly when I attended what was the remnants of the Wahoo McDaniels Professional Wrestling School here in the Carolinas. I worked for 7 months in total. I was in-ring talent for 2 of those months, and then they decided that I like to run my mouth pretty good, so they'll put me in the managerial position, which still was taking bumps, but not as bad.
I used to take freaking crazy bumps all the time.
I was just going to ask, Billy.
Well, the thing is, the bumps I would take, I could take very easily because I'm a big guy, and it looks like I didn't really take a bump. So I'd have to oversell to kind of compensate for my size and the fact that I bounce so good. I bounce like a rubber ball outside.
Yeah, and with me, I was kind of lanky, so I was basically the Jimmy Hart, Paul Lee during my day.
Okay, did you wear a chicken suit at any point?
Never. But I did get chased out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Lance.
No, you got chased out of Knoxville.
Whatever. It's one of those Tennessee states.
Some kind of Danville where the fried chicken was too expensive.
Yeah, I would never go back to Tennessee again.
Oh, I thought you were going to come visit.
Well, I will visit you, but I'm coming undercover.
See, that's the thing, bringing that up is that one of the things There's a lot of experienced wrestling people at WWE. They're just in commentary positions, King, and they're not teaching anybody anything. They're just kind of there for job security.
I think right now in WWE, they don't have that mentorship that you see in AEW. AEW kind of brung back the managers. So while you have Vicky Guerrero, you have Tully Blanchard, you have Arn Anderson, you do see those managers, and at the same time, they're backstage mentoring people. So that's kind of another big difference. The trade that you and me, Steve, were, you could say, put in is slowly
Mm-hmm.
making a comeback. Um, one of the, and I'm gonna say this, in the men's division over at TKW, one of the, he's 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 a worker slash manager, is THG Daniel Howard Green. He does $1 million man gimmick and absolute great talker. What do you think, Spicy?
Yeah, no, he has really great promos and creativity, and he is actually mentioned in me and Pixie's promo coming up in the next Nightmare. A few people are, but DHG specifically.
There you
So
go.
that should be fun.
All right, folks. This is Joseph Scoldren Night for Hardcore Wrestling Radio. We've kind of babbled on for an hour, I think even more than that. And we're going to call it a night right now. Let's go to you, Lance. Tell everybody where they can find you and what are you doing?
Well, absolutely, I will. Just see, I got you.
Hey,
Another absolutely for you, Chris.
Yeah,
we got him to say it.
I figured it was either that or in the Tony Atlas voice, but I didn't think I could get that in. But I am over at Lance Moss TV at yahoo.com. Every Tuesday night, I go live, well, most Tuesday nights, because I just realized it is Tuesday night. But with me and Steve and whoever else wants to show up, go live with Lance Moss TV and Friends, coffee time. We never know who's going to show up. And, well, every Friday at around 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern, and whatever the hell else it is, other places, you figure it out in your time zone. I put up a guitar building video, or sometimes Redneck Gourmet, but, well, that's on hiatus right now. But yeah.
All right. Steve, you got anything going on and where can fans find you?
I can be found on YouTube on the Stephen G. Atkins channel. I can be found on TikTok making weird videos and whatnot as Stephen G. Atkins. In fact, if you just put in Stephen G. Atkins, you can pretty much find me. I make music, I make films, I make an ass of myself usually. But if you want to get entertained by such things, just come look me up and check out the content.
All right, I will. And we have the lovely Spicy Wifey. Let's go to you, Spicy. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at Spicy Wifey Gaming on Twitch, on Facebook, and Instagram, and I'm also on the TikTok, as the kids say.
I remember back in my day, TikTok was a candy. So
TikTok was the sound the clock made.
Yeah, exactly. When we still had clocks that made noise. As for me, I am Joseph Scoldren. Now you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I play games from PC to console, retro to current, and just do the hashtag Scoldren's Realms, and you can find me on those platforms. I am also on Instagram and on Twitter at Scoldren. And if you're not listening to us on our individual platforms, we are here on HWR Hardcore Wrestling Radio, Facebook.com/groups/HWR chat room. So make sure you guys check us out there. And again, TKWA, Trend Killers Wrestling Association. You can check him out. Just do the hashtag TKWA, where all of us will be performing on the upcoming shows. It's either this Friday for Metal Fury at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, or you can check us out on Nightmare and you can make sure you could check that all out. Nightmare 19 will be coming up. You get to see Pixie, you get to see DHG, Nelly B, you get to see Chris himself, you get to see everybody on that show.
And Spicy and the puppies.
Now you see, she got puppies. She's got puppies.
Puppies.
Yeah, our favorite word, puppies. And you can see Miss Spicy here on the cover of Playhag magazine in Facebook on the TKWA Facebook page. Again, look up Playhag and you'll see it. So for us in the hardcore crew, thank you for joining us, Spicy. For us here, we thank you all for putting up with us for another hour and a half. Lance?
Buy the shirt.
Buy the shirt.